don't understand how that works with the two controllers on this screen. There's probably something deterministic, but two-player team is very similar to normal any %, where the big difference is that one of us will control Diddy and one of us will control Dixie. And I'm Antilles58. Nomics. And we've decided to control the Kongs that most look like us. So I'll be playing as Diddy for this run. What this leads to is things that mostly the same, but what you have is the Kong management is a little bit different. You see Kongs that do certain levels that you might not otherwise do. When you switch Kongs becomes a little more intentional, or differently intentioned, I suppose. And I guess we'll just kind of talk about the rest as we go through the game. So 3, 2, 1, go. Yes, it can.
Can it?
Well, I guess, are you the authority? Are we going to buy into stereotypes here?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Anyway, so here we are in World 1. And what this game has is every single stage in the first 2 worlds has developer-intended warps. So we're going to basically be skipping through these really quickly. Normally we would read donations here, but there's a very interesting quirk of two-player team where when you beat a stage, the other Kong is put in front. So in a normal any % run, Diddy would be doing this stage, but Dixie is doing it now in two-player team.
There we go.
And what Nam is doing here is the first wrong warp of the game. What that is basically a way of tricking the game into giving you an invisible item, either by using beetles or barrels. And when you're able to do that, the game, and then throw the invisible object in the right place, the game doesn't know where to send you. So it basically uses the barrel and just sends you out of the level and lets you instantly complete it. It's used pretty extensively throughout the run to save a lot of time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's a little trick called Luckjaw there. We call it Luckjaw because it's impossible and lucky.
It's not an easy trick to get.
Not consistently anyway, but we did it. Moving on. So here, we kept the Kongs we did there because it's very important that Dixie is in front for this next stage. He's going to try to do what's probably the hardest wrong warp in the game. And he got it. Very nice, very nice. So there's 2 parts of that are really difficult. First, he has to set up the Rattly double jump, which is using, there's a 3-frame window to press the A and B button at the same time to get Rattly to do that double jump, to get high enough to get up to those beetles. Then by clashing the beetles in a very specific way, he's able to get an invisible object. And then he has to precisely fall down from the top and throw the barrel, or throw the invisible object while facing left in a very precise location. Now this is Crow. Crow is being a major jerk to us right now. That's 4 fakes. 5 fakes. We're just going to keep going here. I don't care how many he gives us. 6 fakes. 6 fakes on the first item. Our last run before this was fakeless. Yeah. And in almost any run other than this one, we would have reset by now. 7. 8.
Going for a record?
9. 17 is the record. 10. 10. That's extremely unlikely to get 10. That's extremely unlikely. We're going to keep going, but wow. There's a thing in this we have in the community, we call it the World 1 Infinite, and that's why we have the World 1 Infinite, because, wow. 10 fakes, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a lot. One thing that's a little convenient is as Dixie finishes bosses because of her... Oh yeah, that is really nice. Because of her fanfare is just a few seconds shorter than Diddy's. How long is it?
3 seconds, I
3
think.
seconds shorter.
3 or 4.
So normally we would have to team swap.
What are you doing?
Oh, I have to
switch.
There we go. See, perfect time, perfectly
Okay,
perfectly timed.
Still got it. Yeah, we weren't quite positioned right, but that's okay.
But yeah, normally we would have to switch at the beginning of the world, but we don't have to since we automatically get swapped.
Yep. Another thing worth calling out there is to get up to that warp barrel, I did a trick called a big boy, which is or a team throw double jump. And the way you do that is by when you throw your Kong at an enemy, if you push B while they're coming back towards you, you get kind of a boost. So I use that to sort of skip going around up to the barrel. So here again is sometimes the Kong swapping, automatic Kong swapping works in your favor like it did after that boss, but this is a case where it doesn't. So I have to do an extra swap here to put Nam in front for this level. Because obviously it's a lot faster to hover across these pits than want to wait for the balloon.
There we go.
Okay, cool. Plink it then here, I think. So basically so in a stage like this we would normally want Diddy in front at the end, but we use Dixie to get the automatic switch in two-player team to put Diddy where we want him, because Diddy moves a little more quickly through this stage. So over the course of this there might be times where we talk about what we're trying to do. Alright, so if you manage to get through the World 1 Infinite, which we did not successfully do, you're probably going to get through World 2 without too much trouble, and you'll end up at Cleaver, who is probably where your run is going to die. At least Cleaver gave us good RNG.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, because the cannonballs can spawn anywhere from, I guess, any edge of that platform. There we go.
So now I'm going to try to do a pretty difficult trick here. I think you got it.
Yeah, that's good.
Lava Fly. That saves about 4 seconds at the risk of losing a minute.
Oh,
that was really scary. A little early on the jump. But that's like most tricks in this game, probably more than your average video game, is that in this game, if you mess up a trick that is going to save you a second or two, you're probably going to die and lose 30 to 40 seconds. But good fight.
Yeah, without any good movement on those hooks, it basically gets timed perfectly. Cleaver will shoot his fireballs at different times, and so if you don't get across the hooks fast enough, you end up hitting a fireball or just missing the cannon altogether.
Alright. So, one of the things that's neat about two-player team is it really calls attention to how evenly the Kongs are used. Alright, made it. So, I don't know why I was unsure about that. But there's a pretty even split between Diddy and Dixie in this game. In a normal any percent run, it's probably about 60% Diddy, 40% Dixie. Diddy moves a little faster, but Dixie's hover allows you to get around areas a lot quicker. In two-player team, because of the way that Kong swapping works, we use them about evenly, and it works out actually really nicely that we both get to do a pretty good mix of... Oh, shoot, that was wrong. Talk about that in a second. We get to do a pretty good mix of hard levels, like the split between who gets to do which wrong warps and bosses and all of that is pretty even, so that's nice. Now, I just made a mistake there. I did something that's you would do in normal any percent, but not in two-player team. The reason I took damage on that cloak is I was trying to set up a super jump, and if you were paying attention, you'll notice Dixie actually did super jump. She went really high, but there's a little quirk in this where if you take damage and then get swapped over to Dixie, she can't hover. So in a normal any percent category, what you would do is you would use that damage boost and then hover across the pit with the barrel. But by getting hit there, Dixie wasn't able to hover, so she actually had to just ride the barrel across. What would have been faster is if I had just stayed Diddy, not taken the hit, and then just finished the stage normally, and then Dixie would have been in front, and we wouldn't have needed to do a team swap in this stage. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm kind of glad that it happened, because it served to illustrate the point that we're dealing with something a little bit different here than we normally are in any percent. And another thing worth calling attention is that when one of us gets hit, the other has to take over. And that can happen at times where you're not really expecting it to. So we have to both stay pretty vigilant and always be ready to take over at any given time. And the thing that's tricky is sometimes you may end up taking over at a time when you're not really ready to and you don't know how to handle it. Because in a normal situation, you want to have a certain Kong at certain parts of every level. And if you end up with a Kong you're not used to, you can end up in trouble. Like if I get hit in this stage for some reason. That can never happen, right?
So I would say this stage is probably the first really difficult platforming stage. Antilles is doing a lot of pretty difficult wall jumps. If you time it incorrectly, you'll definitely take some damage. Let's see if he gets this. Looks a little off, and now I am called back in.
Yep, can't hover there. So this is exactly what I was just talking about, is that Nom now has to do a part of a stage that he's not used to doing as Dixie.
Yeah,
so but he'll switch right back to me, and then we'll be okay.
It's super awkward, because the way Dixie moves is just not as fluid and as fast as Diddy, and some of the roll jumps just do not work the same.
Yep. Like Dixie couldn't possibly make the end there, which was why we switched back after I got hit. But he had to be careful there. And another good example here, Diddy would normally be in front for this stage, but it doesn't matter since we're just going to become an animal buddy. This is our second appearance of Ratley, but it's the first stage where you actually become an animal buddy, which happens a few times through. I think we get that once per animal buddy in this run, and there's some interesting things that we'll talk about as we need to.
Are they actually called animal buddies?
Yeah, animal buddies. Did you ever know that? I think that's the official term, animal buddies. But anyway, this stage is pretty straightforward. Ratley moves pretty slowly along the ground, so you want to be spending as much time in the air as possible. So we've pretty much memorized the stage, like where to jump, so that you can time landing on enemies, like right there. Yep, Nom did that very well. And then switch at the end of this one, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, switch. Because we want Dixie in front. So that's one of the weird things here is that if Dixie's already in front and you want her to stay in front, you have to switch before the end. So here we're going to see that super jump show up. By doing the super jump here, we set up that super jump by switching Kongs in the water while one was under and one was above, and we're going to use this to do a wrong warp. By doing that and flying up, we actually flew past the point that caused the water to follow us up, which allowed us to fall down to this bonus, throw an invisible barrel at exactly the right place, invisible object at exactly the right place, and get the wrong warp. And that's the first stage where a wrong warp actually saves a huge amount of time. There's a few more. So Barrel Blast, everybody's favorite childhood stage. Music, maybe, not stage. So right there, those few barrels, you've seen a few examples of Nom shooting immediately out of a barrel, and that's pretty tight. There's a pretty small window to press the button to shoot. Yep, got the D-boost. So we damage boosted through there, both to go faster and to get Diddy in front. Oh, man. So hold B. Oh, shoot. We messed it up. Maze of Shame. I wouldn't have done that if...
I don't know the Maze of Shame.
Okay, so go up. This is funny. So we call this the Maze of Shame, and this is probably going to be... So that way.
Okay.
That way. The most shameful Maze of Shame you've ever seen.
Oh, okay.
So there, and then there, up, there.
Wait, left?
Up, yeah, either up, then there. Down right, up there, down. You can see which one of us is so bad that does this all the time. No, no. No, okay. We're alright, we're alright. We're gonna keep it, we're gonna keep it. This is funny. This is funny.
Okay, that right one?
This one right here.
Alright, here we go.
Lay down. Now we're good. Okay, we're up, we're up. Alright, that's the Maze of Shame. We call it that for shameful reasons. We're not gonna reset though, we'll keep it. It's a funny thing to have happen.
I don't mind Vine Clip.
That would almost never happen. Yeah, so I was going for a thing called Vine Clip and I totally messed it up. Which I get about 90% of the time, but of course, since it's a submission video, I did not. Anyway, Cudgel's pretty simple boss, nothing too fancy here.
Yeah, that is another good example. If we're not ready for the other person to take damage, we kind of have to just improvise a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And if anything, that's maybe the appeal of this category, isn't necessarily how things can go right, but maybe how things can go wrong. So, yeah, we both handle the backup for Vine Clip a little differently, is why that happened. I went for something that's a little slower but a little easier. Nom does something that's maybe a little tighter on the side, but he wasn't ready for me to take damage there and become Dixie. So what he needed to be doing was holding B, and he could have jumped up on some vines and then rolled and been just fine and skipped the Maze of Shame. Instead, he wasn't ready because he didn't know what I was thinking,
Right.
which is not his fault at all. I mean, I could have communicated that much better, and then ended up stuck.
Yeah, there was 3 different ways that he probably could have recovered from missing the vine clip, and I did not guess the right one.
Yeah. That's funny. I do hit mine clip pretty darn. I hit it earlier today too, so
Sure.
of course. In the other run we did, but it is
Didn't
what
die
it is.
in Crackhead though.
Didn't die in Crackhead this time. That's right. Just missed RP jump. Whatever.
Okay, here we go.
15 isn't that good, but considering how much time we spent in gold.
Oh wait, what just happened?
Oh, that's right. We didn't have a split there last time.
Oh,
Okay. Alright, so we're on to World 4. If you manage to survive World 3, World 4 is where things start to get pretty tough. Probably one of the underratedly difficult mechanics in this game is honey jumping. It's really hard to jump precisely off that honey. And you can lose a lot of time. Like a shocking amount of time.
I'd also say this is, well, I guess part of it is Dixie's first harder-ish platformer.
Yep, I agree. Alright, scrolly scrolls coming up. I want to explain it. Ooh, that messed up.
Alright, so what Antilles is trying to set up right now is called this scrolly scroll. He wants to get on the hook just right, and then land back on squitters, and then jump off. That's probably not a good explanation of what all that just happened, but basically what it allows him to do is quickly scroll the... Oh,
Okay, just go with it.
there goes Antilles.
Bye!
What that allows to do is that the screen scrolls incredibly fast and pushes you forward,
Yeah,
and I don't know what I just did there.
it's okay, you're fine.
Flip. Okay, we're good.
Somehow what it does is causes the camera to unlock, and I don't know if anyone fully understands the actual technical reasons behind that, but it is what it is. So, target terror coming on, first auto scroller of the game. Why didn't I get that? I will get the next one. Yeah, next one will be faster because I won't have to stop to pick it up. Routing Kong decisions on the fly.
Yeah, there's also the DK barrel at the end of the stage, but this one's probably
The
faster.
invisible one. Yeah, I'll probably
Yeah.
get that one. So anyway, this is the first of three auto scrollers in this game, and is a good time for donations to be read.
Let's see, has a donation.
Oh, Void's here! Void, did you see that Maze of Shame?
It was extra shameful.
Extra shameful. We got a healthy dose of extra shame.
There's 2 things I don't know how to recover from. One is Maze of Shame, and the other is not getting Slime Climb.
Yeah, that would be tough. Those would probably be resets for you right away.
Yeah, those are going to be things I need to actually learn a backup strat for.
Yeah, which we would do.
True. So yeah, a lot of things that we were talking about before is that we're trying to figure out who needs to be first in the next stage, because we do need Diddy up front, and so getting a DK barrel is definitely mandatory, but it loses a second or 2.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay when you actually get the DK barrel. And Diddy can skip some of those dragonflies, so that's why he's faster to have during this stage.
Oh, so that blew.
Darn right. Even if you miss it, Diddy would end up in front.
Sure.
No, it doesn't work. So there's a weird thing where you can press select to Kong switch when hitting a target, and it works in some stages and doesn't work in others. I think it's got something to do with whether the airborne flag is set on the backup Kong.
Oh, wow.
How did we not get that? Press X.
It's X.
Yeah. So Squawk. Yeah, Dixie can't take damage on the bottom if she's on Squawks.
Oh, interesting.
That's
I didn't know
unfortunate. Yeah. So what happened there was we're trying to set up one of the more important run warps in the game, one of the more newly discovered ones. And we both set this up a little differently and executed a little differently, so you can have trouble sometimes. That should do it.
Right,
okay, there we go. Perfect. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. I thought we did everything right, but apparently we didn't.
Yeah, we both set that up differently in our own runs, and so as we kind of had to learn this together, we've had to figure out what are the little tiny details that need a shift.
Yep.
Because my climb is different, but Antilles' end setup is different.
Exactly. So that's one of the things I think that's kind of interesting with two-player team is there's a few moments like that where you do things in a normal any percent run where you switch Kongs or you take damage, and if we don't both handle that the same way, we can leave each other in bad positions. Again, I'm not sure why that first one didn't work.
Right. So this stage is pretty straightforward. You do save time jumping down declines, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is
Not
probably
much.
the scariest croc to kill right there. If you don't get him,
In fact,
then
you talking about him being scary almost made me die.
it's very easy. Just like bump him just a little bit, and then it really throws off your muscle memory.
That's what this whole category does, is like no muscle memory category.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so Dixie will be in front.
So I'm going to swap out
Swap
beginning
out.
of
Yeah,
Mudhole.
Mudhole is probably one of the worst stages. And just for the record, the entire time we've been playing, his dog has been licking my toes. Literally the entire time. I think she stopped to move position like once.
She's encouraging.
She's encouraging. So yeah, this is probably one of the harder stages in the game. I grabbed that chest for a little bit of safety.
She's giving you all the licks that Molly
That
can't.
my dog can't. My dog's
Alright, so
at
I'm gonna switch
grandma's
back
right
out.
now. Yeah, so switch back.
Yeah, so this stage would be incredibly difficult with Dixie because she just doesn't have the same movement as Diddy, especially in the eagle area.
Yeah.
Is this one also considered an eagle pit?
Yeah, there's like a billion eagle pits in this game.
Yeah.
Those are also vultures, so I don't know why we call it eagle pit, but
Nice.
yeah, got it that time. So what happened last time was that's a pretty precise jump, and I just was a tiny bit too late on it. It happens.
Yeah, there is a backup strat that you can get an invincibility barrel, which makes that part a little easier, but it definitely
lot
is a little
easier.
slower.
Yeah.
Alright, so Antilles will be
That's slow.
setting up a wrong warp here. And so this one I would say is pretty precise. There's a lot of things that come in together to make sure this one works. Let's see if he gets it.
I don't know.
Ooh, that was close.
No.
Oh, did get it. But yeah, there's a lot of things that have to come into play there. He has to spawn the beetles at the right time, which he has to throw the cannonball on the first beetle at the right time. The bang animation also counts as an ID, and so he has to make sure that it's on the screen when he spawns the third beetle. And then there's a few other things, like he has to have the flitter on the right side, spawn it, do the clash. And so a combination of all these things, little
Okay, you're
things
up.
like he was too far to the right, I believe, and that's why the one
Yeah,
didn't work.
I think I went too far to the right. It's pretty subtle. It's really easy to mess that up. So that would lost us probably about 20 seconds or so by having to go into the bonus and then finish out the rest of the stage. Getting it successfully, as opposed to just going through the stage, saves about 12 seconds.
I'm also not sure why I waited for that barrel. I really thought that I had to like wait for it.
Really, again.
Oh, there goes me.
See it, Dixie. See, I don't know how to do that. Figured I'd try it. So anyway, here's another damage boost. It's a backup if you miss a throw there. I'm not playing super well right now, but it's alright. Now.
Kind of threw me off there.
But he should be Dixie here, so this is now a normal Dixie situation.
Yep. So what Antilles was going for was the big boy jump, which allows you to skip that whole side part.
It's the one we did earlier where we talked about the to the barrel in the second stage. Perfect.
Okay, so I will get Diddy there so that I can team swap, because we do need Dixie at the beginning of next stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, normally you wouldn't get an extra Kong there. It would pick it up for free from the boss.
Sure you can. I have to say that every time.
Sure you can.
Sure you can. Because he just rips through that V.
That's awesome.
Okay, oh.
Oh, bummer. It's okay.
He's gonna get the jump there. So I'm gonna team swap.
Perfect. And now Dixie's in front again.
And the only reason we want Dixie here is because Dixie's fanfare is a little shorter.
Save the 3 seconds.
Yep. And so this boss is pretty straightforward after you know exactly where you need to be in the hive. And so I'm gonna come up to the second slot here, and then come in the middle. And it basically sets you up perfectly for the next shot. Oh, that works. Turn around.
There we go. Alright.
Alright.
Alright, so we saved a little bit of time over, but we could have saved a lot more if we... So the death in Mudhole and missed... What was it? Death in Mudhole, missed the wrong warp, and then the death in, whatever it's called. Brambler. So, a lot of time to lose in World 4, but that's why World 4 is pretty difficult, is you have 2 really difficult wrong warps and quite a bit of tough platforming. But now World 5 is probably... I don't know, probably the best...
Ooh.
I was thinking about what to call it. Probably the best stage in the world in the game, honestly.
There you go.
It's also the hardest.
Yeah, I would say most of my runs end up dying in World 5.
If you manage to get to World 5, it's because you're on a pretty good run, and it's definitely going to die in World 5. So, that roll there is a little tight. I opted not to go for it the second time, just to move on. But, lots of good platforming in World 5 is what makes it so fun. Some of the hardest stages in the game, and some of the most impressive stages in a speedrun in World 5.
Yep. I think that's one of the most satisfying rolls out there.
Yeah, it really is.
But when
I was
you
scared that I was going to roll through that one again. Sometimes the ghost ropes just don't want to rope. Dang, okay. Oh, you can't. Okay, good, you can't hover. I was about to say, don't try to hover.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now we want...
So that's another... Do we want you up front, or...?
We'll want you in front at the end.
Right.
To do a swap, so whatever, I'm doing it. So part of the plan was for Dixie to be in front right now, but it's just part of it. We just have to adapt on the fly. And we both run this game at any %, so we know what to do. But anyway, this auto-scroller's I think probably the easiest
So
in the game.
there's a little more things you can do, which I think can account for more deaths.
Yeah.
Like, you want to, as you see Antilles is jumping rapidly up the inclines, and you don't do that in any other auto-scroller. But apparently it saves frames, I guess.
I think, it can add up to a second or two over the course of this whole stage if you do it at all the right places.
Gotcha.
But large declines and every incline, I think, are what you want to jump over. Short declines, for some reason, don't save frames.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
He'll also be jumping on the top of the doors. Apparently that also saves a few frames here and there.
Like right here. I think G's figured all this out, so shoutouts to him.
Ooh.
What? Alright, well, we wanted Dixie in the front after this anyway, so
Yep.
same amount of time.
Yeah, so that's another good example. If I don't hit anything, Dixie will just blink there, I believe, for forever. And so I do have to take control. If I'm not paying attention, we do lose a little bit of time.
Which also is the case when you have intentional damage. So that's another reason this would be a little bit slower. Alright, so you can just swap it over. You're learning lots about places to go in Canada right now.
Canada.
It's Curious.
Because Void just got world record.
It's because Void just got world record. That's right. Again, congrats to Void on taking back the 102 world record.
You just forgot me.
I did just forget you. I'll have to get you next, and hopefully I don't die here. Okay, we're good. That's what you get for leaving me out that other time we played that other level that one time.
One thing that's really nice about this stage is that the optimization is just really well-timed rolls.
Yeah.
Also, this part's a little scary. Antilles is like kind of fighting the wind to save a few frames there. And then Antilles does the roll off the edge, team up, throw into the barrel.
Oh,
whoa,
gosh,
that's a little scary.
That was really scary. It's okay.
And I believe that saves a second because you're kind of like going with the momentum, or the momentum of the wind.
Yep. So Nam is going to do now what's probably one of the most impressive stages in a speed run. The game wants you to take that little purple parrot there to avoid all these bees, but he's really slow, so we don't do that. So I mean, this looks pretty impressive, and don't get me wrong, it is, but we've got it memorized, so it's not as hard as it looks. The harder part is learning to do this, but it can still at any time can kill you. And right there, there's
that's a good example.
that is probably one of the few spots where you can get hit and have no choice but to die. So Nam was going for something there called damageless, where basically he doesn't get hit till the very end, and if he makes it, it's really sweet.
Just go safe?
Yes. Or no, go for it. Alright, we're going for it. It's alright. He's like saying, let's go safe, and then does it.
My muscle memory just kicked in.
Yeah, it just kept going. That's alright. That's okay. You got it. Second try. I think going for it on the second try is good. So we're good. So then I got control through the end there. So that's another one of those places where we have to kind of coordinate what we're doing to make sure I take over. Oh, okay. Almost died to the rat. That's alright. That's alright.
That's one thing, just not being comfortable with Dixie in some areas, it just feels weird. She doesn't move the way Diddy does.
Yep, and actually that's a really good point, because we end that stage normally with Diddy in any percent, but since 2-player switches you straight to Dixie, you have to start Web Woods with Dixie, and you don't have another Kong to switch. So it's a little awkward. But now we're back with Diddy in the front, where he belongs. Also, we're in Web Woods.
So we will see with Antilles, he's doing a lot of instant webs, and so if you hit LNR at the same time on, I would say, kind of right before your apex of your jump,
Yeah.
And so that allows him to quickly move upward. And let's see.
That's not it.
Yeah. It's a little improvising there.
Oh, what?
So
how did I get hit?
So unfortunately, we're going to have to do this a little slower. With an extra life, you'll be able to do another D boost around here, which definitely saves a lot of time. So this part can be very awkward when you don't have that extra Kong, but that was pretty good.
Yeah, it's as well as you can really do. So I don't know why I got hit on that cannon there. I thought I fired a web, but it just didn't seem to want to go, but it is what it is.
Also, just watching it without the D-boost, it just looks like a whole different stage.
It really does. It's more of just the whole... Really, the story of this run is kind of how well are we catching up. Like, if everything had gone correctly, this would have been pretty straightforward, but both of us have had a few different times where we've just pretty much had to improvise on the fly, usually because of my mistakes.
Well, I did mess up on PCP.
That's alright. And I improvised that instant death that I had there for you. So this is Creepy Crow.
Yep. Rope climbing is no joke. If you lose your rhythm, you could just spend so much time trying to make up for it.
Nice. So there's a little bit more RNG in this guy. Basically, the bird bosses are what give us RNG.
Oh.
Oh, I was trying to jump on top of that.
Unintentional D-boost into the, into the barrel.
I was going for it.
A little scary.
A little scary, but lived. And we'll be ahead. So that's good.
Oh, 25 seconds.
Much better World 5. Oh, I'm in charge. I'm in front.
Yep. Yeah, so with all the adjusting and then the RNG of the barrels, you really have to kind of know how to adapt to whichever, spawn creepy gives you.
Oh, what? That was weird. I got hung up.
Yeah, Arctic is one of those stages that it's just difficult to get right, like with any swimming stage. But
yeah, swimming stages in all the Donkey Kong Country games are surprisingly difficult to optimize. You basically want to take every corner as perfectly as you can. But it's okay. It's really good ditty right here.
Yeah, that is weird.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how that happened either, Joy.
Oh, that was a little scary. One eternity later.
So this stage has a few ways that you can speed it up that make it a little more than just an auto-scroller. Right there, he was able to kind of glide between a gap between the B and the platform and save a little bit of time. There's 3 or 4 different places in this where you can either damage boost or position yourself to do a skip. Another one coming up right here. So the game is going to want him to go straight up here, but by going just to the left a little bit, we can save some time.
I just gotta get the banana coin.
Of course.
You wanna watch this?
Interesting tech. I've never seen that before. So there's a damage boost that is kind of nice.
Yeah, so unfortunately the only deboost that doesn't carry over co-op is the Bayou.
Mm-hmm. Everything else is pretty much the same. Well, that's just because for some reason they don't let you hover after being hit in this like you can in every other app. Didn't set it up. It's okay.
So one thing Antilles was trying to set up there was the Ghetto Bees. Saves about 2 seconds, I think.
If you can take a pretty precise, it's not that precise, run and jump, you can glide under 2 sets of bees there, which I was going for, but if you miss it and get hit, it's rip. You have to go get a DK barrel at another level because 2 Kongs are absolutely required for this stage.
Yeah, it'll lose about 10 seconds just going back to the... Would you go to Arctic for that?
I would go to Arctic, yeah. So this is Castle Crush. Actually, this has been the 4th auto-scroller of the game. And it's famous. Anyone who's seen a Donkey Kong Country 2 speedrun usually has their mind blown by this. First piece of info is this barrel is critical.
He's holding the run in his hands right now.
Yes, I am. I have to reset and redo this submission video. Do you remember everything we said? More importantly, do you remember how to do the Maze of Shame? Because we will be trying again.
Yeah, I do need to do the Maze of Shame.
I'm like pointing at the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, so Antilles is putting down the barrel at certain times just to get rid of enemies, but just putting down the barrel is a little scary because if you just are not holding down at the right time, you just throw the barrel straight into a wall.
Sound like you're speaking from experience there.
Plenty of times. And then that loses, what, like a minute and a half?
It depends on where you are. It's a lot. Yeah. It's literally the run if you mess this up.
Okay,
so anyway, by setting this down here, I get an invisible barrel, re-grab, Dixie takes over, and for some reason the top of the stage spawns.
Yep.
Nobody knows why, but it does. And that turns a 4.5-minute auto-scroller into a 1.5-minute auto-scroller. So we're getting to the home stretch here. This is one of the last, regular-ish platforming levels before you get to what's called the final gauntlet.
Alright, let's see if I can grab the fish. Nice.
Oh, we got the fish!
Oh, that wasn't too bad.
No.
It's also faster to switch underwater.
It is.
And so you'll see us always switch underwater if we can.
Strats here called throw Nom out of the way.
Don't approve of the strat, but it does go faster, so I'm okay.
His tears are deadly.
Oh.
What? Why did I get hung up there?
Nice.
Okay.
Had to improvise there a little bit at the end.
It's okay. Alright, so switch me back.
Yep.
Last wrong warp of the game. It also can be one of the more finicky ones.
Good. This is why I would definitely say that people call this the gauntlet, because if you mess this track up, it's like 15-20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so far into the run that it's really painful when you don't get it.
Yep. You could be on PB pace and then miss that. You're done. And then, if that wasn't enough, we've got Toxic Tower, which is, I'd say, second hardest level of the game, possibly hardest. Earlier when we did the top sail wrong warp, we talked about the Rattly double jump. There's a few different ways to do them, but it basically lets Rattly double jump without charging. Nice Omega. And so some of these are 2 to 3 frame windows to press buttons to get these jumps just right.
Missed the Omega there.
That's alright. We're through. Pretty good Rattly section. I know I saw a few jumps Nom wishes he could have back, but nothing to sneer at. That's a hard part of this game. So Squawks is pretty much the last majorly difficult thing here.
So to get intentional deboost, you can kind of go around, but it's a little slower. Okay.
Alright. That's most of the hard stuff. And we're good. Toxic Tower done.
Let's do up in 3.
Up in 3, come on, get up in 3. Oh, just missed it. We like to, well, not only is it faster to get up there in 3 webs, but it's also required to have a good run. And game over, just kidding.
Whoa, we just saved a minute 30.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so next stage, Screech's Sprint. The last of the gauntlet, I would say. Would you consider Screech in the
It
gauntlet?
is, the 3. So on our wiki, where we have a bunch of tutorials and things for this game, there's like little difficulty things, like how difficult it is out of 10 in the minds of whoever wrote that page in the wiki. And people put like this one at like 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, but if you're on the run, it's like 20 out of 10.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for error.
There's a lot of room for error, or not a lot of room for error, I guess. A lot of places you can have errors. Yeah, exactly.
Let's see if you get the Screech skip. Nice.
And I did. So normally what the game wants you to do, and what this stage is probably most known for, is the race with Screech. And if you go underneath him, it stops you, does a 3-second countdown, and starts the really awesome music. I think Bad Bird Rag maybe is what it's called. But
it's a good song.
It's a good song, but we have to wait that 3 seconds. So we go over the top, and that was not what I intended to do there. You can actually make it through there, that ring, with your iframes after you get hit, but I'm inconsistent at that.
Yeah, one thing we probably haven't talked about either is that when you're an animal buddy, if you get hit and you have 2 Kongs, you still retain control. So I'm not controlling Squawks.
Yes, that's right. We haven't done it. That's true. It's because the way the game works is if you get hit, it takes away your backup Kong instead of your front Kong.
I want to switch.
Yeah, I think we decided it's faster if I stay Diddy the whole time.
Do I get hit on him? I'll get a hit on him and then I'll throw you? No, just kidding. Oh, that's a lot more time than I thought.
Yeah, plenty of time.
So ideally on K-Roll, you want to try to throw the ball as soon as he starts his suction.
It's possible to throw so perfectly timed that you don't actually see any of the little white dust particles coming out of his gun. That's called dustless, and it can be done on a few of the throws. If you practice and are good, you can do it every time, but...
I didn't even know that was called dustless.
It's called dustless. You haven't watched as many runs as me.
But yeah, there's certain things that you can do to kind of buffer to get the right jumps or right throws. And so right there, I would normally pick up the cannonball, jump at the apex of my jump, and throw it in, and it's almost perfectly timed. But I think you can, in total, save about 12 seconds just in good throws.
It can be. You can definitely lose a lot of time with bad throws.
I think on the ILs it's like somewhere around there.
Yeah, there's a pretty wide window. So the reason he gave me control as Diddy, even though we lost a little bit of time with by switching, is that Diddy throws a lot more quickly than Dixie. So the timing is also different on the throws.
Mm-hmm.
So if he would have he wouldn't have been able to try for quick throws with Dixie just because the timing is so different that he wouldn't have really known when to throw. And her throw animation is slower, so even though we lost about a second or so by switching Diddy to the front after this, it was worth it in the end, as long as I make all the throws and don't get hit.
Right, and this is one of the few bosses that Diddy will actually, or if the only boss that Diddy...
This is the only boss that Diddy does.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of why we decided to do that, is just to let me do something.
Yeah, and we don't have to worry about the fanfare at the end, because the run ends after we get the last coin.
Also, this is Blue Diddy. Switch me back. Get Blue Dixie.
Oh,
I switch. Okay.
All right, now
there we
switch
go.
back.
There we go.
All right, now we're Team Blue.
Now we're Team Blue, and I got hit. Oh my gosh! I totally ruined it.
Intentional, so that we get Diddy back.
Yeah, that's what it was. But no, what you saw there was a trick called Blue Diddy, and I kind of screwed. I decided like at the last minute to go for it, so we weren't really ready positioning wise. We definitely didn't plan that, but we would do that in AGDQ because you need to do Blue Diddy. You make them blue, and it's great.
The end is easier with Dixie because she can float over everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But this last part is incredibly difficult with Dixie.
You gonna do it this time?
I have to.
You're gonna try? Yeah. So I'll tell you what to do this time.
Okay.
It's pretty easy. So on the fourth,
yeah,
the final hit,
yeah,
or actually on all the hits, you want to run, basically. So run over there, and I think you'll be okay. So run to here, then run back. That's good. That's good.
That's good.
Now run to here and then run back.
Is that enough? Yeah. Oh, we're good. We're good. We're good.
You're good. That's all you have to do. That gives you enough space.
Nice.
And we got it.
Dixie's the best. Nice. 47.
All right, 47.01. Our goal for this this run was 45, and if we hadn't had the mistakes that we did in what was it, World 4, we'd have got it. Even World 3, I think. Did we have a death there? Oh, Maze of Shame.
That was a really bad
Which was both of our faults, mostly mine. But yeah, if we would have had if we had not done the Maze of Shame, and if we would have hit the wrong warps in World 4, we would have had a 45, which would be good. This is a new world record though, because no other DKC2 runners live close enough to each other to actually do this.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that is our submission. It's a fun little category, pretty similar to any %, but it can lead to a lot of fun, interesting situations. So there you go. I don't know. Anything else? We'll practice too. Maze of Shame will be good.
I'll find out that Crackhead is not actually called Crackhead.
Yeah, it's called Crockhead. Crockhead Clamber. Okay.
Awesome.